New York City, 1907. An Irish immigrant woman stands in a kitchen, preparing dinner for a wealthy family. Her hands work efficiently, peeling, chopping, cooking. Those hands are perfect vessels, not for culinary art, but for death. By the time authorities figure out what she's spreading, 51 people will be infected. 3 will be dead. Her name was Mary Mallon. But you know her as Typhoid Mary. This is the story of America's patient zero, a woman who became a weapon without ever feeling sick, and how prejudice, fear, and science collided to imprison her for the rest of her life. August 1906, Oyster Bay, Long Island. The Warren family had rented a summer home, wealthy, connected, living the Gilded Age dream. Then, one by one, they started falling ill. Fever, severe headache, rose-colored spots on the chest, intestinal hemorrhaging, typhoid fever. 6 of 11 people in the household contracted it. This wasn't supposed to happen, not in clean, wealthy neighborhoods. Typhoid was a disease of poverty, of contaminated water, of immigrant slums. The homeowner was frantic. He hired George Soper. George Soper was a sanitary engineer, a disease detective, and he was obsessed with finding the source. Soper investigated everything: the water supply, clean; the sewage, properly maintained; the milk delivery, tested negative. For months he found nothing. Then Soper did something revolutionary. He looked at the pattern differently. What was the common factor? The cook. Mary Mallon had worked for all of them. Soper traced Mary's employment history like a detective following a serial killer. 1900–1907, 7 families, 22 confirmed typhoid cases, at least 3 deaths. Mary Mallon cooked for all of them. She'd moved to a new position always just before or after someone got sick. But there was a problem. Mary Mallon wasn't sick. She'd never had typhoid. She was something science barely understood in 1907, a healthy carrier. March 1907, George Soper found Mary working at a home on Park Avenue. What happened next would seal her fate. Soper approached Mary in the kitchen, demanding samples of her urine and feces. Mary's response: she grabbed a carving fork and chased him out. Can you blame her? A male stranger asking this working-class immigrant woman about her bodily functions. But Soper was relentless. He brought Dr. S. Josephine Baker. When police arrived to take Mary into custody, she fought. She ran. She hid in a closet. They physically dragged her out. 5 police officers to subdue 1 Irish cook. They tested her. Blood, urine, stool samples. The results confirmed it. Mary's gallbladder was teeming with Salmonella typhii. She shed millions of bacteria every time she used the bathroom and didn't wash her hands perfectly. She contaminated everything. Here's the medical reality. About 3% of typhoid patients become chronic carriers. The bacteria colonize the gallbladder, living there asymptomatically. But here's the legal and ethical reality. What do you do with someone who's dangerous but not sick? Not a criminal, but a threat? The New York Department of Health made a decision. They locked her up. North Brother Island, a quarantine facility. Mary Mallon was detained there. No trial, no sentence, no release date, just indefinite quarantine. For nearly 3 years, she lived in a cottage on that island, alone, writing letters begging for release, insisting she'd never made anyone sick. Now here's where the story gets darker. Mary Mallon wasn't the only known typhoid carrier in New York. Soper identified others. Men, wealthy people, American-born citizens. They weren't detained. They weren't imprisoned on an island. They were given instructions. So why was Mary different? She was Irish, an immigrant in an era of intense anti-Irish prejudice. She was working class, no money for lawyers. In 1910, after a legal battle, Mary was released, on one condition: never work as a cook again. She agreed. She lied. By 1915, Mary Mallon was working under an assumed name, Mary Brown. Where? In the kitchen of Sloan Maternity Hospital. 25 people contracted typhoid. 2 died. When authorities discovered Mary Brown was Mary Mallon, the public fury was immense. She'd been given a chance. She'd violated it. People had died. They sent her back to North Brother Island. She would never leave again. For 23 years, Mary Mallon lived in quarantine. She worked in the island's laboratory. She took long walks. She read. And she maintained, until her death in 1938, that she had never made anyone sick. The autopsy confirmed it. Her gallbladder was filled with bacteria. Mary Mallon's story became legend. But in the telling, something happened. She stopped being a person. She became Typhoid Mary. a symbol. The newspapers portrayed her as a skeleton in a cook's outfit, spreading death. A villain who knowingly poisoned the innocent. But was she? Mary didn't understand germ theory. She had no formal education in bacteriology. She'd never been sick, so she couldn't accept she carried it. From her perspective, she was being persecuted for something invisible. From the public health perspective, she was a clear and present danger. Both things can be true. The name Typhoid Mary persists today. We use it casually, but that strips away her humanity, her reality, her name. Mary Mallon died November 11, 1938, age 69. 9 people attended her funeral. She was buried in St. Raymond's Cemetery. No monument, just a simple grave marker with her real name, not Typhoid Mary. Mary Mallon. The Mary Mallon case changed public health law forever. It raised questions we still grapple with. How do we balance individual rights with public safety? Visit unbedsidemanners.com, unbedsidemanners.com, to learn more about this and other stories where medicine and justice collide. Next time on Toxic Humans, the smell of fish that destroys lives. Trimethylaminuria, the genetic condition that makes people toxic to society itself.